When Sue Rothmeyer takes on a job, she does it always with skill and grace. I'm sure if she were assigned to pick up roadside litter in her beloved Iowa, her patch would be the most pristine stretch around Ames or Decorah. That's just who she is. We honor her tonight as she completes her faithful service as Secretary of the ELCA. And some of you have worked with her in that role. But I've been privileged to be Sue's friend and colleague in what I am pretty sure is her first great professional love, campus ministry. I first met Sue at an orientation campus ministry in 1984. She was serving the campus ministry at Iowa State, and I was the rookie campus pastor at Virginia Tech. And I can assure you, she was clearly the more accomplished campus minister. Even then, I remember how precisely and clearly she articulated her thoughts. No doubt, I'm sure, a consequence of her training in rhetoric and the topics that she also taught. Though we became friends from that day forward, the nature of campus ministry is that you only see distant colleagues once or twice a year. So we had to make do with renewing our camaraderie at annual campus ministry conferences or the Lutheran Student Movement national gatherings. We'd share a beer, talk about our ministry programs, or maybe sneak off and indulge our mutual love of live theater. And many times, I remember we would sit at the back of some hotel ballroom, very much like this one, during the legislative sessions of LSM, wryly pondering why, out of all the things you might copy in the life of the church, college students seem to love recreating a Senate assembly or submitting resolutions. Our friendship deepened, and my appreciation for Sue grew when we both served for many years on the National Campus Ministry team. That team, made up of the Chicago staff and regional directors, was responsible for planning and overseeing the ELCA's campus ministry programs, resources, and personnel. Sue served that team in several capacities, but ultimately was the national director. And many of you have worked in similar groups, and you know that the most effective teams have a leader who balances two foci: getting the job done and creating a climate of collegiality and respect among team members. It's rare to find a leader who does both things well. Sue is that person. Anyone who's worked with her knows that she always comes to a meeting well prepared and focused on the task at hand. But in my experience, she never moves the agenda forward by rolling over or denigrating anyone around the table. She has this incredible gift for making everyone with whom she works feel valued and respected, even and especially when she doesn't necessarily agree with them. Excellence and kindness. Those are the two words that come to mind when I think about Sue. She's a gifted worship leader and planner. Rare was a campus ministry conference when our liturgical life was not enriched by her voice or flute. And with the possible exception of Philip Knudsen, her friend, campus pastor, and mentor of sorts, Sue is by far the best event planner I've ever worked with. She had this incredible capacity to negotiate wonderful venues for campus ministry events, and then line up equally excellent speakers to make those events worthwhile. As a true servant leader, Sue took on a lot of the behind-the-scenes tedium of a conference so that we participants could simply enjoy the event. I often marveled at how effectively she managed the inevitable mini-crises of LSM events. Whether it was labor negotiations with a hotel sound crew, or rescuing some clueless students stranded at O'Hare, Sue was always cool and decisive under fire. But as the interns whom she supervised can attest, she did her best to make those kinds of situations learning experiences. She never lost sight of the fact that the most important part of her job was raising up and mentoring the next generation of students. If students made mistakes, she helped them see what had happened and how they could make it better. It's rare that a person is equally effective in working with naive college freshmen and seasoned synodical bishops. But I'm very sure that both groups would say that Sue has served them well. Finally, on a much more personal note, I'm deeply thankful to Sue for expanding my cultural horizons. I grew up Baptist in South Carolina, so I was often at sea trying to understand the arcane cultural elements of Upper Midwest Lutheranism. Sue was my sure and patient guide. For 40 years, we've had a sort of standing joke. She has promised, or threatened, depending on your perspective, to invite me to Iowa and introduce this Southern boy to Lutheranism. I hope, with her well-deserved retirement, she can finally do that.
Got it, okay.
And I have no doubt that this culinary revelation will be done with the same excellence that has marked everything else in her ministry. How very blessed is the church to have had Sue's gifts, and how deeply thankful I am to call Sue my dear friend.